Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to another triple play. Today I'm going to talk about 3 films that have nothing in common, but I just thought I'd talk about them anyway. So we've got a fox in the shape of the Grey Fox with Richard Farnsworth. We've got Fire in the shape of Lifeline by Johnny To. And we've got Fame in the shape of Lino Brocka's Bona. Again, these are 3 films I was going to do random reviews on, but I don't really have too much to say about them without saying they're all wonderful. I don't want to get into too many kind of plot specifics, so I just thought I'd have a wee chat about all 3 of them in one video. So we will start with the Grey Fox, the wonderful Richard Farnsworth, based on a true story of the gentleman bandit from the North Country, went into Canada. After spending 33 years in St. Quentin, he was released in 1903, I believe, into obviously a completely different world. He made his money robbing stagecoaches, but obviously by the time he came out in 1903, there weren't too many stagecoaches left, so he starts robbing trains. It's just a beautiful little film. Of course, Richard Farnsworth is absolutely wonderful as a gentleman bandit, Bill Miner. It has that kind of Matewan-y Ballad of Grigori Cortese cinematography of like old photographs. You know, it's not action packed, it's much more a character piece, but it's really Farnsworth that steals the show the way he does in Straight Story and The Natural. There's a beautiful scene where again he's in this more modern world than what he left before going into prison. And he has a wee look over and he sees a horse, and then he has another wee look over and he's got a wee smile on his face, and then he looks back at the horse, and then it cuts to him riding like fury on the back of a horse with a big grin in his face. It's one of the great moments in cinema history. It's just an absolute gem. Directed by Philip Borsos, who I think died when he was like 41 or something. He did Mean Season with Kurt Russell, another director that died way too young. But it's just such a beautiful little film. This is a Carlotta releasing Region B Blu-ray. And there's just a couple of extras about the restoration of the film. And it's from, when is the film from again? I think it's from the early 80s. I can't actually remember what year it's from. But it's just an absolutely beautiful little film. I think Neil's Movie Channel gave it a shout out. That's why I picked it up. So you can go over to Neil's Movie Channel. I think he did a proper review of it. None of this slapdash putting it in with 2 other films nonsense. So Grey Fox I would highly recommend. And then we've got Lifeline by the wonderful Johnny To. This is a Vinegar Syndrome release. It's a VSA, it's hard to keep track of VSA, VSUs. This is actually a 4K, and it looks rather nice. But it also has a Blu-ray, Region A, it's got a poster and a booklet as well. And there's the other disc. Now again, I've said on the channel that, you know, I don't think Johnny To's ever made a great film. but he's made so many just very, 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 very good films, and this is no exception. You could argue it's like London's Burning if you're from the UK. You remember that TV show? It's kind of like Backdraft. So this is 1998, 1997. So it's like 6 years after Backdraft. But obviously this is better than Backdraft because it's Johnny To. And it really, it's interesting because it follows one station, one fire station, who are kind of cursed, or they're kind of seen as being cursed. They always kind of have disasters when they're dealing with fires, so that's a nice little angle. And then they get caught up in this huge factory fire. Again, this is not CG fire, this is proper fire. There's a great interview with Johnny To in the extras, where he talks about the fact that they were just kind of figuring out how to do fire while they were making the film, basically. So it's amazing nobody get killed, because some of the burns are pretty close to the mark. So the 4K, it's the 110-minute feature presentation. There's HDR, and there's a 27-minute interview with Johnny To, which is fantastic. There's a new interview with special effects artist for 10 minutes, and there's a video essay by Sam Dane, Johnny To in the 1990s, which is 18 minutes. And there's a making of, an archival making of for 15 minutes, and another interview for 4 minutes with Johnny To, and an archive interview with Ruby Wong, which is 3 minutes, and a 2-minute archival interview with another actor, Raymond Ho Yin Wong, and the booklet. The Blu-ray is actually multi-region. No, it's not, it's region A. I apologise. It's a region A Blu-ray, but obviously multi-region 4K. Looks really good. And again, Johnny To, even though he's kind of known as kind of an action director, his films are actually more about character than they are about action. You know, he's not like John Woo or whatever. He's about the people first, and this really comes through in Lifeline. People that you relate to, they've each got their own problems. Again, it's, you know, perhaps melodramatic, but it's obviously better than a TV show because it's Johnny To. And as I said, some of the stunt work and the firework is probably wouldn't be able to do it now, or they'd probably use CG fire, which for some reason just looks terrible compared to real fire. But Lifeline is another very, 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 very good Johnny To film that you should really check out if you can. And then finally, the one I was most excited about is Lino Brocka's Bona. Lino Brocka, the Filipino auteur, but there's just not enough Lino Brocka films available. This is a 4K, again from Vinegar Syndrome, through Canny. This is Canny Spy number 30. I do love Canny. But there's also a 4K release in Europe by Carlotta, releasing again. And again, you do get a Blu-ray and the 4K, and you get a lovely booklet as well. So this is from 1980. It's 88 minutes long. Stars Nora Nor, who you'll probably recognise if you've watched any Filipino goodness, and Philip Salvador again, who you'll recognise if you've watched any other Lino Brocka films. He pops up in quite a few. So this one perhaps isn't my favourite Lino Brocka. It's still very good, and when you consider this was thought to be lost, so it's just amazing that they've actually found it, because it is a wonderful film, even if it's not my favourite Lino Brocka. So it's basically about this woman here who is besotted by Philip Salvador's movie star. But of course the thing is, he's not really a movie star, he's an extra. He's not really a lead actor, but he's an extra. So Bona, the title character, kind of goes to where they're shooting the film and is desperate to meet him, and which her parents don't approve of, wasting her time going to seeing a film being shot. But she's obsessed. She ends up kind of working her way into his life, working his way into his home, but to basically essentially be his slave and cook and clean for him. And again, because he's like a bit part player, you know, the great thing about it is he's not like this superstar or anything, he's literally a bit part player. And he is pretty much a scumbag. He takes her for granted while she's pretty much cleaning and getting water for him and like doing everything for him. He's not really interested in her in a sexual sense. He's quite happy for her just to do all the jobs that he's not going to do for him. And then there's other women who do have a sexual relationship with him, and they have a problem with Bona. Bona has a problem with them. And then her family is obviously not happy about this as well, and her reputation in the town. It's a wonderful, melodramatic, another slice of Filipino life. Again, not my favourite, but you know, Brocka has made some great films. Obviously Manila and The Claws of Night is an absolute masterpiece. But this is just a wonderful little film about, you know, fame and the fact that, as we all know, you shouldn't really meet your heroes because they're probably going to disappoint you. And it's just a beautiful little film. And again, the fact that it was pretty much thought to be lost, it's just wonderful that it now exists in physical media. Again, there's a French release as well, doesn't have English subtitles. Obviously this canny version does. So 3 very different films, but all well worth a look if you can get your hands on them. So we've got Firefox and a Fame, or Firefox and Fame. Yeah, so that's Triple Play. 3 films I would recommend you catching up on if you have the ability to. So thanks so much for watching. Please let me know if you've seen Bona, Lifeline, or The Grey Fox, and what you think of them, and hope you join me for more strange videos. This is Solitary Ronan from Solitary Ronan Films, saying farewell.